EMS.
Stamar EMS, yes.
And so that's great. So and we're just talking. You got your education was in Welland, my hometown. So
Yeah, your
we're just talking
hometown,
about
yeah. The old days back in school there.
some of the old sights and sounds down there.
Yeah,
Which
absolutely.
is
absolutely.
another trip down memory lane. But
Yeah.
so what's your job? What's your actual job with Stamar EMS?
Well, I've been a paramedic for 10 years, and I worked both in York Region and up in the Simcoe County area. And I've gone off the road now. I've started my own business, Stamar EMS. We go to corporations. We do public first aid and CPR courses. We do training with the AEDs, the the sucker that shocks people.
Oh,
brings you back to life.
right. Those things really work.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
They don't always work though,
they
right?
don't always
like on
work.
the on
No,
the
no.
on TV, it's like
Oh, I love that. I love the old Baywatch shows, where you see
Yeah.
them doing the two breaths on them, and they do a little pumping on their chest. And all
Did
of a
they ever
sudden
do
you
it
can
to
stand up.
Pamela Lee Anderson?
Do what? CPR
Use
on
that
her?
use that that
thing?
device
Yeah,
on her.
That could have had
because you have to put it
some
on her
really
chest,
bad
right?
results with
You have
that.
to get a special unit for somebody like her.
We're going in the wrong direction, you.
Yeah, we'll cut it out in
Yeah.
editing, Mark. Yeah. So those have you ever had a chance to use
Absolutely, sure,
one of those,
sure,
and
yeah.
it's saved? You've seen it save lives.
In the 10 years that I've been doing the job, we've actually had for myself, I've had only 2 saves, and that's the big issue now, and that's why I'm here, because want to talk about first aid and CPR training, because it's really important. General Joe public people, corporate people, they need to start getting on board with doing this CPR stuff and having a defib nearby to train people. The mortality rate is very high.
Yeah.
But 3 to 5% out of every person, 3 to 5% of the people that have cardiac arrests, they're the only ones that survive. So 95 to 97 out of 100 people don't make it. And that's a really bad statistic out there right now.
Because when I think about it, I mean, I had some CPR training when I was a kid,
Yeah,
growing up, like at swimming lessons.
I had none.
You had none.
No.
None.
I
They
don't know the first thing about how to save life.
They teach you
You need
the
to take one of my courses. Do we got time to get her on her back? Oh,
yeah. Actually, it looks like you might need the same kind of defib machine that they needed on Baywatch.
yeah.
You weren't here for that.
No, she
Jeanette.
missed that. Sorry.
Okay.
No, but you know what? I'm probably not the only person who has no idea how to save a person's life, administer CPR or anything of that nature.
Right.
And it's sad, actually. It's quite sad. But think about it. It's not something that we're trained to do in school or anything like that.
Well, but back when we went to school, absolutely. I mean, we had to go, if you took a life-saving course at school or a private life-saving course, maybe they threw in a little bit of CPR back in the day. But as a school topic, no, I went to Thornlea Public School, High School, and we never were taught, even in our gym classes, first aid and CPR courses. Today, totally different. I go into school. It's not only teaching the students, but we're also teaching the teachers at the same time how to save lives. And the evolution of this life-saving thing that's going on right now is actually the school boards are looking at putting these defib machines, these things that are going to really save people's lives, into the school system, both the inline school system and the Catholic school system. So as a paramedic, we're looking and saying this is a great thing, because more lives are going to be saved. That's the be all and end all.
And Mark, I know we were talking before, and you were saying that there's a new bill coming into play.
Yes.
What's that all about?
We're very excited about this. It's called Bill 41. And Bill 41 is, right now it is a bill, and it's all about public access defib, putting these defib machines in workplaces and public places so that they're available for people to use. And these are smart defib machines. A 10-year-old kid can shock somebody and save a life. These machines are set up in such a way that they take you step by step by step on how to put the pads on, when to shock somebody, how to do CPR, when you're supposed to pump, when you're supposed to blow, everything you need to know about doing these defibs. So this bill right now is just a bill. But we're hoping that hopefully by the end of this year and maybe into next year, that bill will become law. And if that happens, then all public places and workplaces will have to have a defib machine, and will need to have somebody trained in it. And that'll be monitored. From what I understand, it'll be a WSIB requirement now.
So, and interesting enough, also, I think it would be good if mothers knew how to, or had one of these in the home.
Yeah, well,
because child safety is a real issue.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And particularly in the summertime. I mean, last year alone, there was several reports of children drowning in pools, and maybe they could have been saved. You know, I don't know how long typically it takes for the EMS to arrive, or an ambulance, or 911. But, you know, maybe you could comment on some of these things.
Sure. With the child safety, I think that's a huge issue right now. And I'm in works right now with a partner, and we're developing an actual children's television show based on safety called Safety Harbor. And if that show takes off, it'll be a position where parents with the kids, school teachers with the kids, will have the opportunity to watch a show about kids helping kids in certain safety aspects. As far as the defibs are concerned, absolutely, you can shock a child, okay, 1 to 8 year old. We have the capabilities of doing that with the defib machines. The deaths throughout the summer last year, it's a sad thing, but if more and more people had the training and knew what to do in an emergency situation, it could save lives. CPR, when we talk about CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, what we're doing is we're acting as the patient's heart and lungs, and we're moving oxygenated blood throughout the body to keep the brain good. Right? Brain cells start dying within 4 to 6 minutes, and the person's brain dead after 10. So when we do CPR on somebody, we're sustaining them through a time period so that EMS can get there, and hopefully we have this patient is still viable. We can still work on them. We can still do something. The average time for EMS in the city of Toronto is about 10 to 12 minutes response time. Some places it could be even longer. Working out in the Barrie area in Simcoe County, I remember we had a response time once of 40 minutes with our lights and sirens because of these remote areas. You know, by the time EMS gets there, if this is a vital signs absent patient without any breathing or anything, they have no chance at survival.
But you also said that after 10 minutes, the brain can be dead, right?
If they doesn't get oxygen. So what we're doing by the CPR is we're keeping that oxygenated blood rotating throughout the body so that the oxygen is going to the brain, and we don't get the brain cells dying, which is a great thing.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, because even if you are able to save them out and their brain dead, then they're a vegetable really for the rest of their lives, right? Which is really, really sad.
Yes, obviously. Yeah, definitely. There's a new format that's come out now in the United States. It's doing CPR without breathing on patients, like breathing into patients' mouth, which is the next generation of CPR training. In the United States, it's been approved now. 2 doctors from the Mayo Clinic in Washington, D.C. developed this process, and it is now the new norm for CPR in the United States. This system has just come northbound of the United States, and the powers to be here, the Canadian Medical Associations, St. John's Ambulance, Canadian Heart and Stroke, Canadian Red Cross, WSIB, are all looking at this way of doing it. And we think as paramedics that, number one, it's going to save more lives because more people will be less inhibited to go and do CPR on somebody when they're going to be taught that, you know what, I don't have to put my mouth necessarily on a patient. I can do just chest compressions, and that's going to be sufficient enough.
Didn't they have that as before? I mean, didn't they have that or a style of that kind of, what do you call that?
CPR, yeah.
Before they went with the mouth-on-mouth kind? I remember that when I was in swimming lessons learning CPR.
They may have done it back then, and that could have been just at the discretion of the instructor saying, hey, you know what, you can do this, so you don't have to do that. Yeah. But it's now coming forward. Probably about 2 or 3 months ago, this media, it hit the media, and you know, I'm doing courses, and people are saying, yeah, but can we not do CPR now without going on our mouth, on the patient's mouth? And you know, I'm telling them that, you know what, Humans south of the border are the same as humans north of the border. So does it work? Absolutely. But we're not quite at that stage yet where the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed in Canada that we as instructors can now go and teach it. But can I tell you about it? Absolutely.
Well, how does it? Yeah, how does it? Just curious. How does
it work?
Is it as effective though? Are you able to get as much oxygen?
Yeah,
in?
it actually works quite well, and the whole principle of it is that you're pushing on the chest, right? Like you would do compressions, and what you're doing is this only works on adults. I have to emphasize this, and an adult is anyone over the age of 8 in our circle of what we do. So it only works on adults, and what we're doing is we're moving the oxygenated blood that's already residual in the bloodstream throughout the body, and that's what's moving to the brain, to the lungs, to the organs to keep them viable. The nicety about this, and this came by accident, is that when the doctors were looking at this concept, they also realized that as they're pushing on the chest to move the blood through the heart, they're also compressing and expanding the lungs. And our lungs are pressurized. So what we're doing is by pushing down, we're exhaling the air that's residual in the lungs, but when the lungs expand, what happens? We draw in air. So at the same time, we're moving oxygenated blood. The body itself, because of the mechanics of our lungs, is also indrawing oxygen. The concept works. It's been tested in the United States, and they're saying, wow, this is a great idea. We're going to start adopting it. YouTube has the videos of these doctors doing this type of procedure on people. The only thing we want to do is emphasize adults only. The child, the 1 to 8-year-olds or the 0 to 1-year-olds, do not have enough residual oxygen in their bloodstream because they're a small body, small volume to make it work. So for them, we still got to go mouth to mouth or put a barrier between. But as far as the adults concerned, this is going to be the new norm for CPR.
Mark, I think a lot of people don't realize what's involved in being trained as a paramedic like yourself. So maybe you could share with us a little bit about, how you...
The rocky roads of getting to
Yes.
become a paramedic?
And what you've learned, and I know you've learned a lot, so...
Oh, absolutely. I mean, back in the day, you've graduated, you did your AMCA, which is your Ontario certification, and then you pretty much were able to walk into a job back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Today it is a lot more difficult. I mean, the jobs are not as open as they were back then. It is a difficult road. If you're going to get into paramedics, you're not doing it